Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good first week, and I mean, the weather was a little on the chillier side, but we're expecting nice, warmer weather in the future. But it's a great time, I think, for customers to come out and kind of get educated with our amazing free seminars, and we had some really fun workshops, and we've got a few more coming up in this next weekend. So I think it's a great time, and we got more product in this week. So it's really. Spring Showcase is all about kind of getting a head start on your spring season and getting some of the new trends and ideas, and I think we executed on that pretty well. We're gonna do a live podcast. Daniel unfortunately won't be able to be there. So live, you kind of think your way through it a little bit differently, but I'm not worried about it. You're just asking questions. I think logistically, there's probably more issues that you've got to overcome. How do we record voice, record film, and do this in front of a live audience, which we've never done before. So
without anybody knocking a cord over.
Or we're gonna have some sounds. It's supposed to be like a really nice weekend, so it could be super busy, and so it'll be interesting. But we're always up for challenging things and trying new ideas. I mean, we've got a lot going on. I mean, Spring Showcase gets us kind of, forced into some things. We're still finishing up some last minute touches on the bird barn, but that's open. That's going really well. We've got markets. So by the end of this week, we'll have 8 of them opened. By the end of next week, we'll have 11, and then potentially 12 if everything comes through. So, we're working really hard on the market season. And then, of course, we've got Mulch Madness. We've got a couple other things in the pipeline to kind of get done to really hit, April, on a strong footing to kind of say, hey, we're prepared and ready to go forward. So, waiting on some weather to turn for us, getting more products in, setting up markets. There's just a lot. This is the busiest time of the year for sure.
Hello, I'm Ashley, Director of Marketing.
And I'm Carly, Content Marketing Specialist.
The Bird Barn, it is a storied tale. So the Bird Barn started actually a couple years ago. Just some background, marketing has lots of ideas. And so part of Mike's job is to funnel those ideas into things that we're actually going to do. Because I don't think that any human could possibly do everything that we kind of throw at him. The Bird Barn started, I would say probably right after COVID. We were looking at the barn that's on the property here. It's right in the middle of the property, so you really can't miss it. So even if you're going just to the greenhouse, you're gonna pass it. So it's been lots of different things. It's been a place to hold deco, it's had clothing in it, it's had umbrellas. So we've kind of tried a bunch of different things. We had birding in the very back for years and years. And when Mike was a buyer, he really focused on building that up. So it kind of outgrew the space that it was in. And so we had kind of the issue of the barn didn't really have an identity, and birding was getting a little bit full. So put those two things together, and we're like, what if we moved it into the barn? The idea was like, what if we make it like you're walking into a bird house? And then we talked about kind of pie in the sky ideas, and it was like, what if we built like these giant trees that kind of were on the side, and then we like first it was trees out of wood, then it was like, well, what if they're actual trees? And then we and they're, I think it was like maybe 25 feet tall, and he was like, let's pull it on back a little bit, pull it on back.
Things changed throughout the process, and I drew some mock-ups for that. This, like Ashley said, this has been a idea that's been in process for years. We had some kind of light interior mock-ups when the idea was first pitched, but when we really wanted to go full in on it, I drew some like angles of the bird barn and how we thought it might look, including the trees and leaves on the ceiling, and you have all the merchandising set up, including the seed bar, which was like a big part of our idea in the bird barn, to have the kind of self-storage seating station. So adding that into the design, it really, I think, kind of pulls that together, including bird sounds in the bird barn and all that kind of cool stuff. So it was really fun to kind of concept that and get that out so we could pitch it to other leadership in the company.
And it also has a lot of personal touches too. You actually hand painted the bird barn.
Yes, and it was like super fun to paint.
Yeah,
It took an
it looks so
afternoon,
good.
and it was just really fun to kind of bring that all together and kind of add that personal touch.
And you think it'll be a success? Do you think people will be interested in this now?
I mean,
It's
we hope
already,
so.
yeah. I mean, we've seen
Too
people
late now.
in there all. We've already seen people shopping in there. We've gotten some compliments from staff and customers already, so we're excited to see where the Bird Barn goes.
So right now what I'm working on is testing everything for our live podcast that we have this weekend. The Bros of Gardening is a brand new podcast that we've recently started this past January, and it's been great. Mike and Daniel are the hosts of it, and I operate the podcast in the background while they're talking, and it's done pretty well. And so what we're going to do for Spring Showcase is we're going to put it out in front of a live audience. We'll be up here talking for the podcast while actually doing it in front of people who can then ask questions. So there's a lot of different variables that are going to go into this, and it's my job to make sure that everything is working properly. So it'll be Mike and I, and it's going to be pretty fun. So hopefully nothing goes wrong.